Yo, check out my website, www.theclowntimes.net. That's clown spelled with K as you see here. As you see, here are my rants here. I'll be more and more regular in posting rants in the future. You see what I have going on here. Also, you can also get your merch here at www.cafepress.com. Search for the Clown Time Sports. You see here I have sweatshirts, hoodies, baby gear, mugs, t-shirts. So just come on over and grab yourself some merch.
Welcome to tonight's ACC edition of the Clown Hour Podcast with Scott First. Please continue to check me out at www.theclowntimes.net. I'm about to put on NFL Week 6 preview and may have some thoughts about what I'm going to discuss tonight with the fellas. You can check me out on Facebook as well. So do a search for the Clown Times. It's Clown spelled with K. You can find me there as well. So let's just get to it, guys. I mentioned another ACC podcast, weekly podcast. We're not actually weekly because we've been out for 2 weeks, but we're going to get back to it. So, as you see here, my guys are back from the All Sports Discussion ACC Sports Blog. You got Jeff Fann and you got Hokey Smash, aka Matthew Warner. So, guys, how you guys doing? Welcome back.
Doing good. Glad to be on.
Right on, right on. Cool.
Happy to be here.
All right, guys. Well, I was going to talk about Miami possibly being the best team in the nation. I was also going to talk about maybe like the scheduling thing about the AC going to 9 games because we hadn't talked since then. But this whole Bill Belichick thing in Chapel Hill is taking a front seat in almost all of college sports media. So since we're ACC podcast, let's just get to it right quick. Jeff, I'll start with you. What the hell is going on in Chapel?
Yeah, this is one of those things where whatever you thought the worst case scenario would be, this is like way worse.
Right.
I mean, barring like a crime being committed by someone associated with the UNC staff or player, I mean, this is just bad. And I'm sure as an NC State guy, you don't mind to see what's going on there. I mean, they it's a
dude, let me tell you this. As a state alum, to your point, it couldn't happen to a better coach and to a better university. But go ahead.
yeah. I mean, it's that they're a laughing stock off the field. They're a laughing stock on the field. It's just a train wreck. Now you've got NCAA violations. They have a assistant coach, I think, was suspended today.
Right.
Rumors of Belichick being maybe being bought out, and then he puts out a statement last night that they're committed. You have that story. I think it was WRAL that put out a story of like unhappy players and parents, and I mean, it's just an absolute train wreck. I mean, I don't even know what you can almost say about it. If you're an UNC football fan, I mean, this is just like embarrassing. This is humiliating for your football program. I mean, on every level, it's an embarrassment from on the field to off the field. The players don't look into the game. I mean, thankfully for North Carolina, I think Dabo Swinney, kind of had mercy on Belichick last week, or they just scored 100 on him. I mean, that was the most lopsided, 38-10 game you'll ever see, because they were basically scoring every time they had the ball in the first quarter. I think it was 35-3 at the half, or 28-3.
It's 35-3. Right.
Yeah.
Right. It's 28-3 at the end of the first quarter.
At the end of the first quarter, and
Yeah.
Dabo took the foot off the gas there. I mean, you could really kind of tell there, and Clemson was just like, all right, we just want to get through the game without any injuries. But yeah, it's a total train wreck there.
Yeah, I mean, to the point where I don't know if you guys saw the picture of Kenny staying right before halftime. It's like great seats where you can find them, right? It's like it was just pathetic, and it was evident to your point, Jeff, that they called off the dogs because if he wanted to, I mean, the first play of the game was a trick play that they scored a touchdown off. It was a double pass. You know he had to dial that up because it's Belichick, right? But Matthew, this whole talk about him being bought out, because I think his buyout, correct me if I'm wrong, guys, has been reduced dramatically.
Well,
And
so here's my understanding of the buyout.
yeah,
First, that like if it's triggered by him, okay,
hmm
then it's after June 1st, it's $1 million. If it's an involuntary buyout, then it's more expensive. Now,
sure,
you've heard these folks talk about, like Jeff said, the kitchen sink's wrong here, right? Recruiting violations and that sort of thing, right? Then
right,
then the institution can get involved, and that's where potentially there can be a negotiated settlement for a buyout, or even triggering the buyout that the low buyout figure. I mean, it's really bad in this case, though, guys. I mean, like, it takes a lot for parents to leak to the media, right? Because
I know,
you can put your basically your son at risk of losing a scholarship if they think it's that person who, that person's parents who leaked to the media. And so a lot of these folks, if the parents are talking to the media, it's never a good show.
right, right. And but just imagine how things are so bad at Chapel Hill, is so bad that the reports that again that they may try and buy him out and that he may not last the season. That's crazy. A guy like Belichick, I mean, have we seen we've seen it once in the NFL when but that was when Bobby Petrino left Atlanta like Courage the Cowardly Dog did, right? To coach Arkansas, but nothing like this. Nothing like a university trying to get rid of to jettison a high profile coach like him, especially out in less than a year.
Well,
In
I
less
mean, I
than
don't know. I
a
mean, do
year.
we really think it's this? Because he's got like, his significant other is maybe a few years older than the football player. Do we know whether his judgment really is all that great, Scott or Jeff? I mean, this is the problem when you've got like an Instagram influencer basically running the football program.
Oh God. And speaking of which, man, like she was supposed to be the brains behind the Hulu documentary that a lot of people have problems with, and apparently that got called off. And I think there's supposed to be like another like hard knocks type deal that was called off before that. Um, I'm sorry to say it's a shit show. And I'm enjoying the shit show. Don't get me wrong, I'm enjoying watching that shit show, but I just cannot believe it's going to get to this point. Jeff, what do you think that with all these reports surrounding Belichick possibly not lasting the season? I personally think that I think they have a bye this week and then they go to Cal. If they lose at Cal by a lot, especially, there's a high chance people say that he may be gone. So what do you think the possibility is that he may not even last the season?
Um, I mean, unless if he's just losing at football, as long as there's no, further off the field embarrassments, I mean, I think he'll probably make it this season. I mean, that's really tough to fire a coach, a first year coach,
Right.
halfway into the season. I mean, that basically like admitting that they completely made a mistake. And, I think they're probably going to try to look at any positive they can get in the second half of the season. But
Yeah.
it's been so bad there, it would not shock me, if they come to some kind of mutual agreement at the end of the year to just kind of part ways, especially, if they go on and, you know, don't win another game or win like one game or something, go 4-8 or
Yeah.
3-9. I mean, I could see them kind of mutually parting ways, but I don't think that it would happen mid-season for him unless there was some kind of off the field type scandal or embarrassment. I mean, if something else comes out, that wasn't related to football, I could see it happening, but as long as that doesn't happen, I think he'll survive the season.
Yeah. And you kind of have to wonder that I openly question Belichick's desire because it seems like he just wanted to just go to Chapel Hill and get his son set up, right? Because I mean, when people say that he's from what I've seen, he just look engaged on the sidelines. I mean, his girlfriend's on the sidelines. I mean, all these distractions. It's just a mockery, right? And to your point, Jeff, about people not wanting to admit they're wrong, there are some very powerful donors who are responsible for bringing this guy in to bypass usurping Bubba Cunningham's authority in doing so. It's going to take a lot for them to really admit that they're wrong, for them to jettison Belichick during the season or even after the season. I don't know if those rich guys, Matthew, would want to admit that they're wrong that much to do so because that's egg on their faces. You know what I mean? Yeah. And one last thing about this whole debacle, man. Um, how about Michael Lombardi trying to write that letter, assuming that all the constituents and fans are idiots, telling them about how the process works, when a lot of those fans and donors, they know how it works. It's just that they, being Michael Lombardi and Belichick Company, it's apparent that they don't know what the hell they're doing. But Matthew, do you think he lasts the season? Do you think he's going after this season? What do you think is going to happen to
Well,
Belichick?
I think I agree with Jeff here, but I mean, you've read these things about fights in the locker room and stuff like that, and if they continue
Oh
having
wow.
that sort of dissension, I think, in the locker room, because that's really off the field stuff. I mean, I don't really consider fights in the locker room being an on the field sort of issue.
Right.
And if they continue having that sort of dissension in the locker room, and if they have parents that are kind of pissed off, and continue reporting to the media and the administration and stuff like that, I don't know that they're going to have a choice but but to see if they can find a mutually acceptable arrangement. I go back to what I said here at the beginning of the podcast. I think he took this job thinking that he was arrogant enough that he was going to get another NFL job, which is why he put that clause in the voluntary exit after June 1st in his contract, because I think he was arrogant enough to think that he was going to get another job when he's really realizing what life is like without Tom Brady.
Yeah. Yeah. That's why I said before, man. It could happen to a better guy. It also could happen at a better school. I really can't. We'll get you out of here on this. That's enough Belichick talk for this one night. But again, all this stuff going on with the ACC, we hadn't talked since, like I said earlier, since the conference decided to move to a 9-game schedule. I personally believe they should have stuck with an 8-game schedule, but mandated that you have 2 out of conference Power 4 schools on that schedule, make it 10 Power 4 opponents. It's like, what do you really get when playing a ninth ACC schedule? The ninth ACC game, I should say. We didn't really get out of that because the conference, as we love the conference, it's not that deep. I mean, even though people can say the same thing about the Big Ten, but I always said the Big Ten is just a more expensive version of the ACC. But Jeff, do you agree with Commissioner Phillips' decision and the president's decision to go to 9 games, or should they have just went to an 8-game schedule with possibly at least two Power 4 out of conference games mandated?
I mean, I think they should have went to the 8+2.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, I know that there's already, you know, games getting canceled. Like, they've already, I think Miami and South Carolina had a matchup in Louisville and Georgia. So, I mean, from that standpoint, I understand some of these games are already getting canceled, but, I think you should have gave the opportunity for teams to have more flexibility to their scheduling. I mean, for example, like Clemson has that 12-year agreement or 10 or 12-year agreement with Notre Dame,
Right.
and they're already playing South Carolina every year, and now you've added a ninth conference game. I mean, if Clemson wants to schedule another game out of conference, I mean, it's not really difficult for them. And the other ACC teams, like Georgia Tech and Kentucky, or Georgia Tech and Louisville and Florida State, who already have that SEC opponent built in.
Mm-hmm.
You've become really handcuffed to be flexible with your schedule. I mean, you still have to. These other conferences still have to play their out of conference. One game against the P4, except
Right.
except the Big Ten for whatever reason.
Yeah.
They're really they're scared to schedule that out of conference
Hello, Penn
game.
State.
Yeah, Penn State and Indiana, Ohio State and Michigan, I'll kind of exclude from the conversation because they'll play games out of conference, but
Right.
the others won't. And if they couldn't get those other games from the Power Four, I mean, they could have just scheduled another ACC team to fill out that 10th game, like it was NC State and Virginia played this year. They played a matchup, but it doesn't count in the conference standings. I mean, you could be flexible with 8+2, but the 9-1 is just copying the other leagues. And like you said, the ACC is not for that deep. So I don't really know what adding another conference game is, where the football players might have been able to schedule another P4 game, and most likely probably would have, because they have that SEC matchup, Clemson and Florida State already. Miami doesn't quite have that, but they've become a pretty attractive matchup, and I think a lot of opponents wouldn't have minded to play them. So I would have preferred to see the 8+2, but they went with the 9, and we'll see how it works. Maybe the ACC can get a little bit deeper than 4 or 5 schools deep in a football season. And right now they got 4 ranked teams, and that's even with Clemson, being unranked. So
Right.
yeah, we'll see how it goes. But I would have preferred 8-2.
And to your point, right, right quick, not all the teams will be playing 9 games next season. It's be like half at first because it's uneven. There's 17 football schools, so it's not even. So after next year, you're going to have a rotation where 16 out of 17 play 9, while the one team plays 8. So how are they going to like reconcile that? It's just a big mess. That's why I wish they would have stuck to the guns to the 8 game schedule. What say you, Matthew?
Well, I guess I have a question to ask you guys because I don't know what the impetus was behind the 9 games. Like, do the ACC schools get any increased revenue because of
I don't
No,
this
think so.
decision?
I don't
no,
think so.
this was just a response to the SEC going to the 9+1, and they couldn't stay at 8+1. Because then that would definitely be used against them in the
Oh,
strength
for
of
sure, for
schedule.
sure, for sure. I was just wondering if it, from a TV purpose, if you're going to this, I would have demanded that. You know what I mean, sort of thing. If you're making this sort of decision,
Yeah, totally
because you've got
agree.
to look at this from a strategic standpoint. If you're making a move like that, right? I've blogged about strategic planning and the ACC before, and seemingly the lack of it at times.
Right.
And I think that if you're doing a decision like this, you've got to get extra money in your pocket for it. Otherwise, you're staying at that 8+, at what you guys said, that 8+2.
Right. Exactly. Um, yeah. So to me, it comes down to, we mentioned about the lack of strategic plan and vision, Matthew. That's why I always say it again. I said it before and I say it again. Commissioner Phillips is hands down the most feckless commissioner in all of collegiate sports. Period. End of discussion. All they had to do was to stand put, and all he had to do was stand pat, be different. 8 games plus 2. That again, that would have been not nothing's perfect, but beats the hell out of like have to at least start going 9 games in the next and then the next 3 years only one team playing 8 games. It's just a mess. It's just a big, big mess. But anyway, Jeff, Matthew, where can the people, as always, find your great work, whether it's in social media or online?
Yeah, you can find me at Talking ACC Sports. Like you see on the screen. Um, we'll be tweeting about what's going on Saturdays and what happens during the week. Um, we're blogging at allsportsdiscussion.com, uh, and then have a podcast there with Matthew each Sunday. Check that out. You can find it on the blog as well. And let's see how the second half of the season sets up here in the ACC. You mentioned it a little bit earlier, Scott. Um, Miami, based on resume, in my opinion, should be the number one team in the country. I don't think
I
any
agree.
other team is even close to the resume they have. But
Right.
if you want to argue Ohio State being 1A, I could live with that.
Mhm.
We'll see if Georgia Tech can maintain uh, in the second half of the season. If they can really stay in that playoff chase, and Virginia coming along. I
I
mean, they're going to
know.
be a threat. Duke, and I know Matt has a lot of thoughts on Duke. I mean, they're a team you better watch in the second half of the season too. And can Florida State get right? I mean, they're an interesting team because I think they're better than their 0-2 record in the ACC. But you can
I
only
do
live
too.
off that Alabama win so long. I mean, they've
Right.
lost 9 of their last 10 ACC games, 9 of their last 10. Um, that's unacceptable.
Right.
So we're gonna have to see if they can turn things around in Tallahassee and just be, have that Alabama game be more than just a, lightning in a bottle performance.
Yeah. I think they'll be Pitt. I think they'll annihilate Pitt. Pitt is decent. Pitt is a decent squad, but I think they're going to annihilate the hell out of Pitt and Bill Campbell this Saturday. How about you, Matthew? Where do they find you as well?
You can find me at All Sports DACC. Again, that's at All Sports DACC. And I'll just tell you very quickly, we haven't talked about Georgia Tech at all as much tonight. And I'm saying it now. They're going to beat Georgia. How's that? Today I'm saying that they are going to beat Georgia.
They should have beaten Georgia last year.
I
So
like
They're going to
that.
beat they're going to beat Georgia this year, and it's not going to have to go to overtime. Thanks.
there you go. And hopefully no one will miss a targeting call as well. Um, anyway, well, thank y'all for tuning in. Again, find me at www.theclowntimes.net. Find me on Facebook at The Clown Times. Again, that's Clown spelled with a K. And please check out these guys' website. They do a great job covering the ACC and all the things. So until next time, take care. Enjoy your Saturday. Be cool and all that good stuff. We out.